Welcome back, folks, to our draft coverage special. Moving on to another player, our last tackle that we're going to be speaking about, a guy out of Oregon State. We're going to be jumping into it real quick. Sammy, start us up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Levis towards the end zone. Got a man. Touchdown. Wow. And it's the fourth TD pass of the day in the debut of Will Levis.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. Sick! It's going to be sick.
All right, folks, as I mentioned earlier, we have one more talent prospect to go over. This gentleman is my best attempt here, Taliese Fuaga, tackle out of Oregon State. I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm not really equipped on knowledge on this guy. Looking at it quickly, the size is there, 6'6", 335. Where do I sign? But give me a little background on what to expect from him and what jumps off the page, the way he plays left tackle.
What's funny is I'm glad that you guys sent me the list of guys that we were going to talk about beforehand, because this is a guy that I had to go really dive into last night. And, because, we talked about him. I'd seen him at the Senior Bowl and stuff, but I hadn't actually gone back and watched just him, I took the time, and what I kind of came away from, I'll just go ahead and read you exactly what I put in my overview in my report. Oregon State Beavers right tackle Fuaga had some ridiculous upside for a guy his size. 2-year starter, entered the season with a 5th-round grade on Blesto, which is a advanced scouting group that the NFL uses. Played up with an impressive 2023 season. Fuaga's impressive on his first step, but seems to lack the nuance to hold throughout a rep. Some teams will like him better as a guard, and by his second contract, I expect him to be moved there. So what I basically thought was he's an excellent run blocker. You get him moving downhill, and he does a great job. And he's got some real explosion. You can see it in his lateral quickness, especially when he's getting into his kick step, but he'll overset a lot as a pass protector. And it got to the point where Oregon State didn't really ever ask him to get into a traditional pass dropping set. And so when you get into a pass drop set, what you're doing is you're backing up, you're getting into your anchor, you're getting your feet under you so that you can take this contact and take on this guy, get him stonewalled. And they stopped asking him to do that during the season at Oregon State and asked him instead to attack downhill before he gets into a set. So engage the guy and then start to drop back. Don't get a yard beyond the line of scrimmage, because then we'll get a penalty. But they weren't asking him to get into his anchor, which is very odd, for a tackle prospect. So ultimately, he's a guy that he can definitely move. He tested pretty well. 5'13", 40, 177, in his 10-yard split. Decent, explosive numbers with a 32-inch vertical. 332 pounds. If you can get up 32 inches, we're talking basketball-type athletic ability. But that's kind of the question is he really a tackle or is he more of a guard? And I kind of came away with, I would much prefer this guy to be my right guard than my right tackle. That's for damn sure.
So that's that. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad, we're bringing it up. We're talking tackles because we already talked about the 3 of them. I had him, not that I'm no draft expert, but if I'm looking at stuff since I watch college football, I would say, by everything that everyone's saying, I would have ranked him second tackle behind Joe Alt, obviously. Just a couple things here that I have written down too. Run game dominance, like you already said. NFL frame, 6'6", big body, 340. Dominant and aggressive play style, which is really good for Bill Callahan. He loves that. But is it a project for him at 7 to draft a guy like this who could potentially be the tackle of the future or a guard? We already played that role last year with Peter Skoronski. Is he a guard? Is he a tackle? We don't know. We plugged him in at guard. Now, I understand after talking with all these tackle prospects that we have, and we're on the final one over here, Fuaga, I'm going to kind of move down. I'm going to say he's more of aggressive, play style as a tackle. I think he's better than Ola, in my opinion. Tackle-wise, don't know, but I'm secured now after talking with this whole conversation that Joe Alt would be the number 1 overall tackle for me from you. So, Fuaga, that's all I got on Fuaga.
No, and that's kind of the thing, right? Is you've got a guy that he can get downhill, he can attack, and that's fine, right? And I came on this podcast with you guys last year, Sal. I think you were sick that week. I'm sorry, I missed you. This is actually
That
the
was
first time we're sitting down, Sal. I've been
no,
on the
definitely
podcast
not.
a couple times.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I've been on when you've been on for sure. Absolutely. Definitely been on when you've been on. I don't, maybe this might be the second time, but this is not the first. I'm positive. Because I remember specifically you saying we were talking about Levis, and now you're saying it wasn't good, and I want to throw him right in there. And you said, no, play Tannehill. Let's figure it out.
Okay,
So,
maybe it is the second time. I've
second one.
done this like 3 or 4 times with you guys now. But
I was sick a lot last year, but I'm getting better now. I'm getting better now.
He's sick in the head is where he's sick. All right.
Last year,
right
I told you guys last year that Skoronski was more of a guard, and that I really didn't like him at tackle. And if you want to spend that kind of a high draft pick on a guard, then go do it if he's your top guy. But I wouldn't do it. So Skoronski's going to be a great left guard for you guys. But you're, again, right in this exact situation. Now we're not talking left side. Now we're talking right side. We're talking right guard, right tackle. And while you want to have your interior taken care of, the first thing that you need to take secure on your offensive line are the tackles, because those are the bookends. That's where all the money's going defensively. Well, maybe not in this free agent period. More money's gone to defensive tackles. That's a position that's gotten a huge pay raise this year. But, traditionally speaking, edge rushers are the second highest paid position in the NFL. So if you've got, collectively on average, if you don't have your offensive tackles squared away against edge rushers, that's where you start to struggle in the pass game. And then you want to get into your interior and build those. Your right side is not as important as your left side. Right guys are always paid less than left side guys. Or if you got a left-handed quarterback that's switched, because we're talking blind side. So I personally wouldn't take Fuaga. I don't understand why Fuaga has all the top 10 talk right now, personally. I'm looking at a guy that's a run mauler. He can get downhill, but we had one of those guys in this class last year. He went 56th overall to Buffalo, Osiris Torrance. Why are we going to take this guy top 10? I'm not understanding that. I wouldn't touch him probably till the end of the first round if I had already secured my tackle positions, my edge rushing positions, and I just wanted to bolster my offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, considering the style, it seems like the Titans are trying to go towards, more of a modern NFL offense. Maybe Fuaga would have been good if we still had Derrick Henry, but it seems like we're moving on from that brand of Titan football. Much to our, we're happy about it is what I want to say, because we've been stuck in this brand of football for a very long time. So I don't think we go with him. If we did, though, would you imagine we could trade back all the way into the 20s, pick up maybe a third-round pick that we don't have this year, and draft someone like him if we make the move?
It depends how 7 goes, right? What are you doing with 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to end up taking a wide receiver, or you're going to move down to 12 and take Bowers or whatever that is, and you're talking about trading back up in the 3rd round, right?
No. I'm talking about if we were to take Fuaga, do you think we could trade out of 7, move back to the 20s, mid-20s, maybe pick a 3rd-round pick for whatever trades up with us, and then get Fuaga at, 20, 22, something like that, or we could move all the way back. And if we move back 13, 14 picks, you would think we'd have to pick up at least, a few extra early round picks. Because you had talked about earlier, loading up on some draft capital.
Yeah, especially if you've got a plan for next year with your tackle, right? Where you're going to sign a veteran minimum dude and bring him in. And then you're already planning on, hey, we like this guy. Or you might have 2 guys that you like next year. If you're going to move back and pick up that kind of capital. Because ultimately what you want to be able to do is, if there's and this Texas tackle that I mentioned earlier very well could be a stellar top 5 type talent, right? So if you're looking at him already and saying, yeah, we're going to take him top 5 next year, you want to make sure that you have that capital built so that you can make that move and get up in the top 5 next year. With somebody's going to be wanting to trade out. There always is. quarterbacks are always going to push that talent down toward the bottom end of the top 5. You know you're going to be able to get there. So, I personally wouldn't move that far, not right now. And I don't think I'd go past 15. And if I move down that far, I don't think Fuaga would be my target personally, because again, we're getting back to this right side deal. Right side is something that you typically address later than the first round. There are going to be teams this year that are going to address their right side with the first round. I think that you have more holes on the roster that you're trying to fill, especially on the offensive side and the left side of that offensive line. I think you want to take care of that before you start worrying about the right side at this point. So Fuaga, to me, would be a weird fit in Tennessee. He doesn't fit the size measurables either that you typically see the Titans target, like Alt does. It'd be different. It'd be a interestingly different type of pick.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we already have what it seems to be a right guard in-house, and Daniel Brunskill, who had his highs and lows last year, but he is one of Rand's guys from he brought over from San Fran, so you have to imagine he's going to get the first crack at that job.
Or Radunes. Listen, Radunes didn't do too bad at guard when we threw him in there towards the end of the year. He really did.
If I had his jersey, I would chuck it too. So
well, there was a lot worse on that team. We're protecting our quarterback. And
do you remember? Should I go get my coach's whistle from my son's baseball team? False start. Number 75.
And guess what? Because we had a bunch of ass clowns as our coaching staff, including our head coach. So
yeah, and Bill Callahan's going to go like this. Okay, false start. Sit your ass on the bench. That's all he's going to do.
He's going to expect a higher elevated level of play, and I think he's going to get it from. Listen, the false starts, obviously that's a problem, but when we saw Radunes at right guard, I think he was more than competent at it. And that would just free up a lot for us. So let's just assume Fuaga is not going to be.
I've been saying for a while. He follows you on Twitter. We got to get him on the show.
I DM'd him. He didn't answer me. I tried.
Well, you hear that, Dylan? Would you answer the kid? Come on.
Yep. We'll see. I got to double check, actually. I'm not positive I DM'd him, but I'm pretty sure I did. Either way, Fuaga, we're probably going to be taking a pass on. Best of luck to you, my friend. And we're going to be moving on to our last player next. But, Sammy, you can send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.